I lived there till I was young, and between the late 60s, early 70s, Mom wanted to leave Dad. Divorce was happening, was not popular back.
For most people, Alaska is probably not on the list of U.S. states to visit. From terrible winter storms to terrifying animal attacks, it's hardly the stuff of vacation dreams. But you'd never hear Sue Aikens complain about Alaska, probably because she's actually from there. Along with other cast members native to Alaska, Sue stars in a reality TV show, Life Below Zero, a show that seeks to depict how true Alaskans survive in the wild. Sadly, Sue has also found her personal life plunging below zero, as hard as the Alaskan temperature. This is her undiluted, tragic tale in full. Sue Aikens' early life. It might surprise you to know that Sue wasn't born in Alaska. She was actually born in Illinois, Chicago, on July 1st, 1963. However, after spending her early years in Chicago, she moved to Alaska with her mother, where she eventually began her career as a reality star and adventurer. When Sue was much younger, she recalls her father moving the family from place to place. It almost seemed like he had a wandering spirit and needed to be everywhere at once. Although she didn't explicitly share whether this affected his marriage to her mother somehow, the bond between her parents faded, and the marriage came to an abrupt end when she was still around 12 years old. In an interview, Sue shared that between the late 60s and early 70s, her mother wanted to split from her father, and she could see that even though getting a divorce wasn't popular back then, she was one of the unlucky few who would get to witness one. So when her mother stretched a paper bag out to her and said they were moving to Alaska, she wasn't really surprised. Sue didn't know what Alaska had in store for her, but she was willing to take a leap of faith for her mother. Fortunately, she graduated high school at 13 and then went on to learn to fly a plane. But living in the Fairbanks area wasn't easy for the duo. At first, things were very difficult to adjust to, and it got even worse after her mother abandoned her to live all on her own. Forced to grow up quickly, Sue had to learn how to fend for herself. It didn't help that the Alaskan weather and environment were very harsh, but she somehow managed to survive by sheer will and determination. Almost unbelievably, Sue soon fell in love with the place, especially after she was taught to hunt by an older Alaskan native who really knew how to handle a rifle. It was her ability to survive in such harsh conditions and her unique lifestyle that caught the attention of National Geographic. They'd been preparing for the show, Life Below Zero, and having lived in Alaska for a long time, Sue was invited to be one of the show's first cast members, and since then, she's become the face of the show. Before Life Below Zero, Sue had a bit of filming experience after being on TLC's hit show, Sarah Palin's Alaska. It was her performance there that opened up the route for her to be considered for the new show. Plus, it made her camp very famous. Since then, she appeared on Flying Wild Alaska and went on to produce the 2022 film Panama, Life Below Zero. There's no doubt that Life Below Zero was the beginning of Sue's success story. If you've ever wondered what it would be like to live in the remotest parts of Alaska, this show should be your go-to. As thanks to National Geographic, viewers get a behind-the-scenes look at what the lives of subsistence hunters in the freezing temperatures of the last frontier look like. The series was so groundbreaking that it got nominated for and won a couple of awards, including a Creative Arts Emmy for Outstanding Cinematography for a reality program. However, the show has also had its own fair share of controversy, including in 2017, when Sue filed a lawsuit against Life Below Zero after she was reportedly coerced into performing some really dangerous stunts that had been cooked up for narratives by a producer. Most recently, a cast member named Chip Hailstone was arrested and sentenced to 15 months in prison for perjury and bearing false witness to the cops. Notwithstanding, this hasn't stopped fans from binging the show week in and week out since it premiered in 2013. Amongst the many controversies surrounding the show, one that centers around the reality of the show is the most popular. Following Sue's lawsuit in 2017, many viewers began to wonder just how much of the show was real and what percentage was scripted, especially since it seemed as though Sue was claiming in the suit that the entirety of the series was scripted. According to her, she was forced to camp at a spot she was unfamiliar with, and to make matters worse, she'd have to travel there by snow machine instead of by an Argo ATV, which was better and much more convenient. Additionally, she claimed that she was restricted from taking her pet dog with her, which made her upset because the series was supposed to be realistic and not in any way scripted. Once, while on the snow machine, Sue fell off. But rather than call in the medics to ensure she was all right and hadn't broken anything right away, the producers instead decided to film how much pain she was suffering, and to film her walking injured, only calling the medics to attend to her as an afterthought. Devoted fans of the show were heartbroken to hear of Sue's tragic accident. They'd gotten quite used to facing heartbreaking moments as the cast members often experienced tragic events in the wilderness. In some way, many believe the show's recent challenges have deeply impacted its dedicated fan base negatively, especially since cast members left in April 2023. While Kate Rourke dipped because she split from Andy Basak, Gary Muehlberger, aged 66, sadly passed away, leaving his fan base in mourning. Gary was well known for his lively persona and passion for fishing. Since the circumstances and the cause of his death aren't public knowledge, his supporters still grapple with unanswered questions, and all it does is intensify the deep sense of sorrow and loss. Despite all these, the show was back on again on September 4th, 2023, where the captivating tales of the surviving cast continued. Fortunately, each member of the Life Below Zero cast has a net worth good enough to compensate them for the hard work they do. Sue Aikens and Jesse Holmes are at the top of this list, with their net worths running into an estimated $500,000 each. So perhaps living in the wild isn't such a bad thing for them. Bear attack. Except they were unfortunate enough to have run-ins with death. The Life Below Zero cast already has so much to face. Most of them face obstacles everyday people like you and me would never have to deal with, like the -60-degree weather basically every day, which would take its toll on anyone, no matter how strong-willed, or even the threat of being mauled by a vicious animal on your way out. Forget the weather. One of the most dangerous factors of living in these remote parts of Alaska is the threat of wild animals constantly around you. Just ask Sue, as she has a story that would mentally scar anyone for life. Back in 2007, before she ever dreamed about appearing on the Life Below Zero show, Sue was attacked by a bear. Fortunately, even though the bear could have easily snatched her soul from her body, she was equipped with knowledge that would eventually secure her safety. As Sue tells it, she was at her camp when she noticed a male grizzly bear burying caribou carcasses near her. She knew she would have to remove the carcasses since she used the open space as a helipad. So she did, but the bear didn't seem to like that, and later on the bear gave her something she called an alpha push. She went on to explain that the alpha push is basically what happens when a much younger bear who doesn't have a lot of power tries to prove its dominance. She explained that she was aware her surroundings smelled like food, but she had to put her rifle down without knowing that the bear was watching her. As soon as her rifle touched the ground, the bear barreled at her, snatched her up, dragged her into the tundra between the dining hall and the river, and prepared to kill her. Further explaining how an alpha push works, Sue shared that during this, a bear will extend its claws all the while hoping that its prey doesn't try to fight back. Knowing this tactic, she simply played along with the bear until she could get her rifle. However, before she was able to escape, the bear threw her around, dislocating her hips from the sockets in the process. Terrifyingly, the bear closed its mouth around Sue's head and bit down, almost like it was trying to yank her head off. But she managed to keep her cool, grabbed her rifle, and then shot at it. To date, Sue still swears that you can feel the dips in her head from where the bear's teeth sunk into her. She shared that she knew her head had been torn pretty badly, and he dropped into the riverbank. After shooting at the bear, her hips gave out, and she had to just wait because there was nothing she could do. Of course, it was terrifying, as you can imagine, being all alone in the cold woods with the threat of other vicious animals around you. Incredibly, Sue had to wait a whole 10 days before someone eventually found her. She previously tried to call the troopers, but she got their answering machine instead. After that, she called 1 or 2 other people, but it took a very painful 10 days of laying there in the snow before she could get any help. The threat of the bears was still imminent in those 10 days. Bears have a very keen sense of smell, and with her injuries, she was very easy prey, especially as she had no way to protect herself. Thankfully, she was eventually found and was able to make a full recovery. Sue takes to court. It's not surprising to hear about the cast of a show taking the producers to court. Usually it happens whenever the cast member leaves the show and then decides to sue them for ill treatment or withheld funds. For Sue, she was ready to go to war in court following the injuries she sustained during the filming of an episode of Life Below Zero in 2017. Sue's anger against the showrunners stemmed from the fact that she was forced to drive her snowmobile across an overflow of the icy river at 6 miles per hour. Unfortunately, she hit the ice heave, causing an accident that left her very injured. Sue claimed that she was coerced into filming this scene as it didn't have her consent because it was for a fictitious narrative. She explained that they were running a reality show, and as such the things they did need to happen naturally, and not according to a script. However, upon her insistence, they still made her do the scene. Additionally, Sue shared that she had warned against filming in that particular location as she knew the dangers of shooting in such an environment. But she was once again overlooked. More so, she alleged that one of the producers of the show was verbally abusive towards her and other crew members and was striving to intimidate them. Plus, the medics were delayed in attending to her, even though she needed urgent attention, simply because the producers wanted to get a good shot of her writhing in pain. In the lawsuit filed in the U.S. District Court in Anchorage, Sue listed the BBC and producer Aaron Melman, alleging that Melman coerced her into performing the stunt against her wishes, along with a few unnamed crew members. She argued that this action violated her contractual agreement with the show and disrupted her business. Sue also added that she was restricted from bringing her dogs along with her, and as she owned over 30 dogs, she asserted that it caused her emotional distress and that she was seeking unspecified damages from the court. However, Sue had some questions to answer, one of which was why she dragged out the timeline between the incident that occurred in 2015 and her decision to pursue legal action in 2017. For sure, This raised questions as to the timing of her charges. Perhaps she hadn't planned to charge, but was now seeking compensation for it. Or maybe she simply just changed her mind. Whatever her reasoning was, we might never know. That same year, amid the legal tumult Sue endured with the producers of Life Below Zero, she found herself entangled in another conflict, this time with governmental authorities. The beginning of her dispute with the government is traced back to the decision to open up the Arctic National Wildlife Refuge to oil and gas drilling. This decision cast a shadow over Sue's occupancy rights, igniting concerns that she could face eviction from her established location. Fearing the uncertainty of potential government actions, Sue quickly made a strategic move by securing an additional abandoned cabin in China, Alaska. This preemptive measure aimed to shield her from the possibility of being caught off guard and displaced from her current residence in the event of government intervention. Sue suffers family losses. Sue has long exemplified resilience and survival skills on Life Below Zero, showcasing herself as a formidable and adept adventurer. Throughout her appearances on the show, she has consistently displayed her innate determination to viewers. However, amidst her portrayal of toughness, Sue faced personal loss with the passing of both her sister and granddaughter, prompting a heartfelt tribute that moved her to tears in a recent episode. As fans witnessed Sue's emotional tribute on Life Below Zero, it sparked intrigue about the circumstances surrounding her granddaughter's fate. However, to date, the cause of death still hasn't been revealed, leaving many questions unanswered. Regrettably, Sue disclosed in an episode of her show that her granddaughter, Drew McClure, had recently passed away. Although it was evident that she was very distressed about the matter, she managed to speak very highly about the significance of family in her life. Sue is no stranger to loss, as she'd also lost one of her fur babies. But losing someone dear to you opens many old wounds, and it was indeed dreadful to see Sue grieve, especially for supporters who had been fans since she made her TV debut. What made the situation all the more difficult for well-wishers to process was that Sue also recently said goodbye to her sister as well. That much loss in such a short time will do a lot of harm to anyone, even someone as tough as Sue. Showing strength, Sue wrote in an Instagram post that her sister Pam passed suddenly. Through her pain, she still saw that life could be rather poetic when it wanted to be. Referencing a video of her sister from 2009, which she captioned, "She waves, says I love you, and waves goodbye. All without any voice which in death's embrace she cannot use. Fly high, you little ball of stardust, haunt, laugh, and shine like a lil supernova." While it's still uncertain what the exact details surrounding the deaths are, it clearly has taken a very huge toll on Sue. After the airing of her tribute in season 21, viewers expressed deep concern for Sue. This departure from her usual demeanor was notably different for those who have followed her journey on Life Below Zero for years. Typically, Sue serves as an inspiring beacon of resilience and hope, even amidst formidable challenges, so witnessing her in a state of grief was heart-wrenching and very new for many of her fans. On platforms like Instagram, many shared words of encouragement and support during this trying time. Messages flooded in, offering prayers and thoughts to comfort Sue in her time of need. One individual wrote, "Sending prayers your way, Sue. Please remember to take care of yourself. Life can present overwhelming challenges, but know that you're surrounded by love and prayers." Another supporter extended words of encouragement to Sue and hoped that she was finding some solace. It was clear for all to see that Sue was going through a tough time, so they just had to ask if she had any plans for retirement and moving to her cabin, adding that hopefully, Whatever choice Sue made, it would happen sooner rather than later. Providing further words of encouragement, one fan aptly expressed that Sue's tributes to her sister and granddaughter were truly beautiful. Another sentiment echoed. In addition to the grieving message, Sue conveyed heartfelt wishes to Drew on her posthumous birthday in a post shared approximately 2 years ago on Instagram. Although your gifts didn't arrive on time, your presence has consistently filled my heart with joy every single day you've been here. Papa Eddie is watching over you from above. I love you, she wrote. It's especially sadder when you think of it now because in 2023, tragedy struck once again as another of her granddaughters, Sue Aikens, passed away unexpectedly at the age of 27. Subsequently determined to be a result of self-exiting, Callie's death completely broke Sue once again, but it also serves as a reminder of the impact of mental health struggles, regardless of age or circumstance. Sue's weight loss. Fans watch their beloved icons like hawks eye their prey. Granted, while some fans are laid back and could care less about one's personal life, some keep track of what their icons eat, drink, what side of the bed they sleep on, and other creepy facts. Sue witnessed this level of fanaticism firsthand when she garnered immediate attention from fans upon the show's return for a new season in September 2019 due to her noticeable weight loss. At 57 years old, she underwent a significantly noticeable transformation, shedding approximately 75 pounds. Having previously referred to herself as a chunky little monkey, Sue was made to open up about the journey that led to her remarkable weight loss and how she maintains fitness while navigating the challenges of living in the Alaskan wilderness. In an interview, she disclosed that her decision to embark on a healthier lifestyle journey stemmed from a culmination of factors, but especially her struggles with old injuries. Among these injuries were tears in her hips, sustained during a harrowing bear attack in 2007. She explained that she decided that there was enough time in between the different injuries and the parts of her body that needed to heal that she could really push and start getting in shape. Despite the limitations posed by her injuries, Sue remains committed to staying active, leveraging the physical demands of her reality show tasks to aid her fitness goals. Sue noted that she can no longer do some exercises that she loved, just because different parts of her body no longer move that way anymore. But throughout the Life Below Zero episodes, one can see the chores and the things that she's doing are very physical. Embracing manual labor and minimizing reliance on machinery, Sue endeavors to strengthen her body and enhance her overall well-being as she has chosen to set down some of the machinery and do a lot by hand and a lot without tools, just to start pushing her body. She emphasized the importance of lightening her physical load, especially as she was just approaching her 60s at the time. While Sue finds fulfillment in her solitary existence at the Kavik River compound, located 197 miles north of the Arctic Circle, she also navigates the complexities of a long-distance relationship. Despite the challenges posed by distance, Sue shares glimpses of her romantic life with her Instagram followers, where she gushes as she expresses affection and gratitude for her partner, Michael Heinrich. Reflecting on her children's initial apprehensions about her relationship, Sue candidly acknowledged their concerns while asserting her commitment to maintaining her independent spirit. Sue said her children explicitly stated to Michael that they didn't want him to try to change their mom. Instead, they wanted him to let her be that wild person she needed to be. she'd start to wither. You could say no one knows her better than her kids, as they've embraced her unwavering resolve to keep up with her unconventional lifestyle, and they expect that Michael does the same. Sue was married twice, once to a husband who died of brain cancer complications. She went on to remarry a couple of years later, and their marriage lasted for 17 years. Although she divorced her husband before he passed away in 2004, their marriage yielded 2 children, Jesse and Jennifer Payne, both of whom are grown and married. Despite occasional moments of doubt and grief, Sue finds solace and purpose in her environmental conservation efforts, such as the ongoing restoration of the Kavik River. Recounting her recent project aimed at reviving a polluted section of the river, she expresses pride and satisfaction in witnessing the resurgence of aquatic life. "How can I not feel proud of that?" she exclaims, reaffirming her unwavering dedication to preserving the natural beauty of her rugged Alaskan surroundings. Through her resilience, Sue continues to inspire audiences with her unwavering determination and profound connection to the wilderness. Where is Sue now? Recently, news about Sue's passing began to make rounds on the internet. Naturally, thousands of fans around the world were horrified and hoped it was just a rumor. Thankfully, it turned out to be a hoax, as Sue herself shared with the rest of the world that she was hale and hearty and now lives along the Kavik River in northern Alaska, where she has been for more than 2 decades. Interestingly, Sue is notably the sole resident of the Kavik River camp, a role she has maintained since joining Life Below Zero in 2013. The enduring success of Life Below Zero, now in its 23rd season as of November 2023, is proof of the allure of individuals like Sue, who have forged lives disconnected from mainstream civilization amidst the untamed wilderness of Alaska. Since the show is still running and Sue hasn't quit, there's a possibility that we might be getting newer episodes soon. Today, Sue continues to live predominantly in solitude at the Kavik River camp, which she owns. She even maintains a considerable distance from her nearest companions, who reside nearly 200 miles north of the Arctic Circle. Her enduring presence in this rugged landscape definitely depicts her resilience and affinity for a lifestyle deeply rooted in the wilderness. At 60, she has emerged as a symbol of human resilience and the enduring allure of the wilderness. Her steadfast dedication to living on the outskirts of civilization, as portrayed in Life Below Zero, serves as a reminder of the deep connections that can be established with nature. Through challenges and triumphs alike, Sue personifies the unyielding spirit of those who opt for a life beyond the ordinary, inspiring viewers to venture into their unexplored territories. We can only hope that Sue's narrative continues to kindle a sense of adventure and appreciation for the untamed splendor of our world. Have you been inspired by Sue Aikens' story? Let us know in the comments below.